What's good? I am starting over. It is now time to start over. Welcome to the Digital Dutchess. I started this podcast last year, never really put it into effect. So now I'm going to put it into effect. I'm about to make it a reality. I guess I should start off saying, let me introduce myself. My name is Blake. People usually call me Blizzy. Those are my friends who do it. My family doesn't. My family calls me Blake. But my friends and everybody else, they call me Blizzy. They do it on Instagram and stuff, so that's how you'll find me, Blizzy. I'm a millennial, my mom. My daughter's 19. She is literally in University of Buffalo. So I decided now that my daughter's gone to college and I'm home alone, it's try. Yeah, look at me stuttering. New avenues of life, new ways of life, new things of trying to outreach people in a new way. I've been going through a lot, and I've gone through a lot in the last couple of days, and it's about self-reflection. And through the self-reflection is where I decided I'm ready to push the podcast and really be into that self-help and really change people. I'll be honest though, I'll be extremely honest. I'm not going to stop being a teacher. I'm not going to stop educating children. I'm not going to stop changing the lives of others. I'm not going to stop loving them. I'm not going to stop being who I am. I literally just this morning had a deep conversation with my sister because I'm going through something right now. And I'm not going to get into all the details of it, at least not now, until I know where it leads and where it's going to be. Then I can further in another episode discuss that. But I tried to decide what was going to be the importance of my content. How was I going to reintroduce this content? How was I going to make this better or progress with this in the last? And I decided, every episode is going to touch different topics, different situations, different things about life. As a millennial, is 2025, and adulting is for the birds. I have come to realize that being having a 19-year-old, and she a Gen Z, it is for the birds. It is not the easiest job in the world. It is hard. I go to college myself. I'm going to CUNY York. I'm trying to graduate in fall of 2026 and become a New York certified education teacher. Maybe I might be special education, as that's where I'm going to take my master's to be. I love children. I want to be able to help them grow and develop. Jalen is the name of my daughter. My daughter is the only one that I have. It is because of her that I have been through everything. It is because of her that I have become the woman that people see and hear today. And I thank my daughter, and I love my daughter with all my heart, even though she drives her mommy up a proverbial wall. That's my heart, that's my soul, and that will never change. Personally, I come from a family of 4. As a millennial, we grew up in the 90s and the early 00s with learning stuff a lot on your own. And in other series and other episodes, we will touch the topics of my family. But personally, right now, in building who I am, I've learned to develop new relationships with my sister. She's 4 years apart from me. And I've been learning to rely on her through my struggles, talking to her with my struggles. And it has really helped develop how I want this podcast to be, who I want to be, who I want to outreach. I've also learned to develop relationships with people again, especially being in a relationship or developing a relationship with a person. I was with my daughter's father for about 4 or 5 years. It didn't end on the most positive note. It still to this day is not positive. I wish there was some type of a reconciliation between me and her father, but you can't help ignorance. You can't control ignorance. You cannot change who a person's going to be. He's 42, I believe, going on 43. He's pretty much set in his ways. His anger with me is valid, I would say, as well as my anger with him is valid. It's just that my daughter is now 19, and I wish we could do things better for her, not talk through her. That's something else in the podcast. I really want to discuss parenting and how co-parenting is very important and how it is very hard to co-parent with a person who doesn't want to co-parent with you. I have many people that I know that are struggling, and I want you to know that I'm here for you. I hear you. I understand it is hard, whether you are the baby mother or the baby father or it doesn't matter, the grandparent. You understand trying to co-parent when you are dealing with the problems that are deep inside of you, with the problems that you are suffering from, whether it's the past of your own personal life or the past of with that person. I can imagine the struggles and the stress factors of where it can go, where it can lead to, what it can do to a person's mental psyche. So there's those things on the podcast that I would like to discuss. I am thankful that I'm trying to develop a new relationship with someone. It's been about 5 months. Where it's going, I'm not exactly sure, but it's positive so far. I enjoy that person's company. I enjoy being with him and around him. I enjoy sometimes even arguing. I wouldn't even call it arguing. I call it disagreements. I even enjoy them because they're not disagreements that you can't bounce back from. I think over the years of dating and being with someone, I've learned how to now maneuver myself, how to talk to men now in a better way. When I was younger, I was rah-rah. I was aggressive about things, and now it's like I don't want to be like that anymore. I don't want to be rah-rah. I don't want to be aggressive. We shouldn't have to be rah-rah and aggressive. We should be able to talk to people, but I think it becomes with maturity, and it comes with true growth. And I want to find peace of mind. I'm also thinking about how I'm not afraid to take risks being with this person. Like, this person makes me not want to be afraid to take risks. Not even, and I mean take risks to the point of, I might move to a different place where it's closer to him, because that person's not that far. That person's within the tri-state area. Just a little farther than I'm used to going. So it's just like, if that person is willing to make me take risks, that is what's most important. I'm also going to discuss on this podcast mental health struggles. Anxieties, how they can take a toll on you, how a job can take a toll on you. You know, a lot of us sometimes as millennials, we don't talk about these things. You know what I'm saying? We came for the generation where we didn't talk about these things at all. Oh my God, growing up, it was not the conversation that you were having with parents. Anxiety and mental health issues was not a topic of discussion. We did not in any way discuss about that. And now that mental health is real and it's being acknowledged, those are some of the things that I would like to cover, especially how personal, emotional, school, and work-related stress can consume a person, how it can control who you are and what you feel. The government, the economy, as a millennial, is stressing me out, stressing all of us out. I live in this apartment. It's not as bad as I might make it seem to be, but at the same breath, it's not to the quality and the comfortability where I want to be, but at the same breath, I want to be able to grow into a new place, try a new home, try a new state if I can. Like, I'm thinking of places like Maryland. My sister's in Maryland. There's Jersey. That's where this other person is living. I've been out there a few times, and I'm like, hey, I think I can do Jersey. It's still within New York, because as being a teacher and you get your certifications, then you have to take those certifications, and then you have to reapply, recertify, I should say, at the state in which you're in. So it's like, I've done the research because it was part of a school assignment. So the question is how deep do I want to go in that, in that discussion of whether I want to see if that's the part of my life of where I'm going. At 41, my birthday is January 6th. I will be 42 years old, and I'm personally finding my place in the world. Realizing that as a teacher, that has made me complete. Being a teacher has made me a complete. Class in school can be extremely intense. This is a new generation, and the alphas, the betas, they are a really interesting group of people. But I want it also be known, they parents is a really interesting group of people. And not all of them are millennials. So, and even if they are millennials, I realize as a millennial, I'm not really in agreement with the things that some millennial parents are in agreement, the things that you want to keep from your child, that your child should be knowing, to be honest. But I'm a different one. I was always honest with my daughter. I grew up where my mom and dad were not very honest with me about things, and it's not because they didn't want to be. It's because they weren't raised like that. They couldn't be, and it was extremely hard to be like that. So I respect it and I understand it, but I decided as a mom I was going to be a different millennial. It was going to be a different generation, a different time, a different everything for me. So I want to touch those topics. I'm also a college student, still at 41. I changed careers midway of my life, and now I'm at CUNY New York. I've been to several different colleges trying to find my way, but I ended up landing in CUNY New York, and I've reached now in the final semester where I'm up to what's called in the teacher education department 300 courses. And 300 courses are, oh my God, they're intense. I've got like 3 contextual analyses, which are these long, in-depth papers of everything requiring field work. So that's been like the real struggle of the day. Most classes start at 6. I have one Tuesday class that you're not gonna agree with every professor, but you know, she is just one of those intense people with intense requirements. And I've had to like quiet myself sometimes because she's on that, you do too much, you know, but she's an older lady. I respect her. She has the respect of people, her colleagues. She has her tenure, which is something I want one day in life. It's been a struggle. 2025 has been the struggle. I have other teachers, 3 other teachers in my 300 courses where I love them. I love them. They are amazing. They are accepting. They, you know, take into account the things that I say. Not saying my other 2 teachers don't, but, you know, I just feel acknowledged a lot with them. And then my last teacher, I highly respect. Her mom was one of my teachers also a semester. And they are very different. Very, very different. But I respect her. And I really understand where she's coming from as a teacher. She's been doing it longer than me. I'm not saying I'm horrible at what I do, but at the same breath, I still, you know, it's a learning process. There have been some recent changes in my life, so I would like to get into those recent changes. I'm going through a professional struggle. And this is a hard discussion because, you know, I work in the education system and it has changed over the years. It has changed. I have taught ELA, social studies, recently math and science, and I suck at math and science. I don't know how I taught these kids math and science, but somehow I got them up to a 58% growth improvement, which got me a 4% raise and a $3,000 bonus. I know people are like, oh, you should be proud of yourself, but let's just do the hard facts of the education system. It has changed over the years. It doesn't matter whether it's a public, private, or charter school. Children have changed. Parents have a way of they feeling about the education system. Public schools are losing funding, especially here in New York City. Charter schools are taking over. Charter schools don't have a union, whereas public schools do. And charter schools, they can do whatever they want, when they want. And public schools got a little bit more. And it's kind of hard for teachers because it's like, do you want to work for charter school where you can get paid more? Or do you want to work for public school where you be safe and have the union and you would have to bust your behind and work all the way to the top, you know, to get where you need to be. So the question is, you know, how far are you willing to go? New York City is the toughest state within New York to live, to teach, to work. Parents, it's about the data. A lot of the parents, as a mom, I know I want my child to get out of this neighborhood. I want my child to go out and be something better than she's ever been. And as a parent, it's hard. What school do you put them in to make sure that they reach that requirement? What do you do as a mom? When are you doing enough as a mom? When are you not doing enough as a mom? When are you doing too much as a parent? When do you let go? When do you learn? When you teach them things? When do you not teach them things? Like, there's all pros and cons of being a millennial and being in life. And with my personal struggles, the hardest thing about being a teacher now is, especially with the changing generation, and I'm having a daughter who's living in this generation, so everything that I'm saying, I'm speaking out of experience. I'm not speaking out of this idea of, oh, I'm making this up. Like, literally, my kid is literally 19 years old. And raising a Gen Z, if you raised a Gen Z, you understand these babies went to school during the COVID era. So they not a little wrapped too tight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying they stupid. I'm just saying they have been missing some socialization, foundational skills that they needed to build as a person. And because of that, they now come into the schools and think that they can do as they please, and that they have this privilege that they are allowed to pretty much be an adult's equal. And it's hard being a mom, and it's hard being a teacher, because you have to learn to pick the line of where are you a mom and where are you a teacher. And what do you say to your child that you can't say to your students? You know, when is it okay to be honest with your child? When is it okay to be honest with your student? And, you know, I think personally I have been through some really rough days in this last past couple of days. And I've really taken a deep reflection on myself. I reflected on who I was. And like I said, this is more like the introduction episode to what it's going to look like, because again, each topic is not going to be the same. Each topic is not going to be different. Is going to be different, I should say. But it's things where I want to bring other guests on. I want people to discuss. I want people to share and express their opinions, because for the simple fact is, it is not easy. It is hard living in this government, living in this environment. The DOE has been practically defunded. You understand, the economy is not gaining money, it is losing money, whether people agree or disagree. I'm not about to do the politics thing right now. That's not the time for this. This is more of a time of a self-reflection piece as a millennial. And I know it sounds like this is about me, but no, this is about us in general. I feel like us as parents, we've made quite a few mistakes. We have. I think we have been through so much. I think that because we came from the 90s and the early 00s and the things that we had to learn, and for us, that was like Vietnam War, you know, trying to battle and fight our parents and still have our identities at the same time. And then we went off and we got lives and married and had children and had babies and decided, oh, I'm going to be different from my mom. I'm going to be different from my dad. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We tried it. And our kids are a bit soft. Okay? They're a bit soft. Even my own child. I really know that my own child is struggling, and she doesn't really know her left from her right. She is going through all types of issues, all types of things that I wish I could have taught her better, but I wanted to be a better parent. I didn't want to make her feel like she didn't have a voice. I didn't want her to feel like she wasn't important, but in doing so, I think at times we cripple them. Not telling them things, I think we cripple them. And then I feel like I've gone into my school system, and with my other students, I've tried too hard. I've tried to be there when I should have pulled back. I tried to be there and should have just did me and worried about me and my job. But I wasn't built like that. I wasn't that type of teacher. I didn't want people to think of me in that way or think of me as that type of a person. I didn't want to be that teacher, the teacher that's mean and grouchy and strict and And I mean, I am strict. That's the crazy part. Like, when it comes to the work, I'm strict. But when it comes to being down for those kids, I'm always down for those kids. But in some breath, that has come to now bite me in the ass. And I think that it, again, is a deep reflection of myself and where I am and where I need to be and where I need to help children. And I think that's why I created and wanted to continue and push this podcast, because there are things that I want to address and touch, and maybe if I can't touch them in the classroom, I can touch them here within this podcast and reach people in a different outlet. I have literally felt like in these last couple of days I'm going crazy. And here's where the mental health kicks in, like dealing with my situation. And once again, I can't go into great detail, but going into my situation, it has made me question myself as a person, question myself as an educator, even question myself as a mom. And you would think that I shouldn't be questioning myself as a mother, but what I've been going through has broken my heart. And it's funny, I have so many supporters, so many people on my side, but at the same time, it's just been one of those things where it's just been extremely hard to be me. It's been extremely hard to find a way to bounce back. It's been extremely hard to move forward, especially when you know that there's other aspects, not just your mental, but there's your physical health. I have sickle cell, and I have sickle cell trait. I was born with it. I have hemoglobin SC. Having hemoglobin SC, some things like this messes with your mind, messes with the stress factor in life. It's been hard. It's been real difficult. Not thinking negative and putting myself in a position where I would put myself in the hospital. I have literally had to rebuild myself, lift myself up to be a better sense of myself in order not to end up in the hospital. And I've really, really, really thank everybody who's been that support system and just had my back in every way. Like, I don't know how to say thank you more than these people in my life know, and they know who they are, because without them, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd probably be back to my old, young, horrible ways that I shouldn't be. And it's just devastating that I am going through what I'm going through. And mentally, it's crippling me because my daughter's in college and I still have to pay her tuition. Financially, I have bills that need to be paid. I am struggling with rent. I am struggling with all types of bills. I'm struggling at days with feeding myself, having groceries in my house, and making sure that I eat. So, and it's the economy. Can't get food stamps. Not saying I want to be on public assistance, but a few food stamps wouldn't help to feed myself. But then you want to tell me what I can and cannot use my food stamps for. You want me to pay my rent, but at the same time, you want to increase my rent right before my year is up. And then my job, you know what I'm saying? I have a job, but at the same time, it's like things that intervene with that, things that cause problems to my job, whether they're in-house or out-house situations. It's as if nobody cares mentally what you're going through. Nobody asks you, are you okay? Do you need help? Now, outside forces have. That's family, friends, the person that I'm talking to. Like, that are the only people in my life that have even made an attempt, you understand, to support me mentally in that aspect. Physically in that aspect, as you can see, I'm okay, I'm healthy. I haven't done anything to myself, but mentally I'm struggling. And this is where this came in, the podcast, everything. I have decided that I needed a new outlet, a new way to talk to people. And I like podcasts. I like listening to them. I like hearing them, all types of things. It's just been hard, like there are nights where I cry, and I cry deep into my pillow, and I pray to God, and I ask God for a better day. And I want people to know that better days will come. You can push through better days. You know what I'm saying? So trust me. Trust and believe. It will happen. But is it hard? Yes. Am I going through it? Yes. Again, I wish I could go into more detail. But I think in the next episode we will touch various different topics, not just education. Some of my recordings will also have videos. So I'm going to try to put like things that I see and touch those topics, because I don't want it to be solely about me, but I also want it to be about the world around me. You will see a lot of educational content. I will be discussing clips of things I see with kids and me as a parent, what I would do. And I want that to be acknowledged. I want that to be seen, because I need people to see it from both sides of the fence. I need parents to see it from our side as teachers, but I also need parents to see it from the side of the children. There are many different aspects of a classroom that people do not understand and they miss. Children go home and they say one thing, and that's not the way it happened. And that's not fair to educators who, haven't done anything wrong. Like, I believe in believing a child. Yes, I believe in my daughter. There are things that my daughter has told me. Yes, I believe her. But then there are things my daughter has told me that's happened in school. Like, oh, my teacher don't like me. Just you? Why just you? Oh, my teacher's picking on me. Just you? Why just you? And come to learn, it's been some dumb stuff. My daughter just didn't want to get dressed for gym. My daughter liked to go out here like a rock star. So my whole attitude is like, if you want to go dress like a rock star, you got to accept the fact that your teacher told you got to get dressed for gym. And I think that's the thing. As a mom and a teacher, I see it from both ends. I believe in my child when it's a serious offense. And anytime she has said a teacher has bothered her, upset her, said something to her, I've taken it to the guidance counselor. I've taken it to the beginning avenues of the place. I've talked to the teacher. I've never ran and went up to the administrator, the principal, or the superintendent and like blown things into proportion, because people have lives. People are important. People have jobs. You understand what I'm saying? And I would never want to jeopardize that. But I know that every place, every company, everybody is different, and I respect that. But like I said, I'm going to use my platform to address a lot of different things. Sometimes you might even see educational videos. It's not just podcasts. You might see educational videos where I'm teaching something to kids. A lot of the kids have struggles where they can't learn things. And I might, teach certain sessions, or a live session, or an online session. I used to be a tutor. So I can tutor kids, and that's a beautiful thing. So I'm just hoping to build from this. And I'm not trying to be, like I said, I'm not trying to be a Cassinet. I'm not trying to be a speed, I'm not trying to be that type of influencer. I'm really trying to make awareness. I'm really trying to help. I'm really trying to solidify my legacy as a person who made change. And I'm not trying to hurt or railroad or degrade anyone in that. That's exactly why I refrain from discussing certain topics. I refrain from speaking to certain topics until that week arises where I can and feel free to discuss it. But this was an introduction to who the Digital Duchess is, what she's going to be about, and what you're going to hear. And I'm telling you right now, people, there's going to be some explicit content. And some of you parents, some of you people, whether you're parents or not, you're not going to like it. You're not going to disagree with it. But it is 2025 going on 2026. And no matter what we've been through in the early 90s and the 00s, we need to start addressing certain topics. Because you want change, but you don't want to change. You have to pick a struggle. You got to change. And I'm starting with today. I'm changing. I'm developing. I'm becoming a new me. It's your turn now. You got to change. You got to be a new you. You got to be a new support system. You got to mentally turn yourself around before you can turn each other around. Thank you for listening.